Welcome to Ucode. In this tutorial, we will guide you step by step on how to test API references using the Ucode documentation. By the end of this video, you will know how to navigate the API reference section, input the necessary data, and perform API tests effectively. Let's get started. To begin, log in to Ucode account using company credentials. Once logged in, we can see already created login table with credentials inside. Then locate the documentation button on the menu section of our dashboard and click on it. This will open the documentation page. Within the documentation page, navigate to the API reference section. Under API reference, go to Auth, then Login page. On this page, we'll find the Test It button in the Request section. Click it to open the form where we'll input all necessary data to test the API. On the opened form, we can see the post request endpoint displayed as /v2/auth/login. Copy and paste the full URL https://api-client-ucode.io into the URL field. And from the endpoint, do not forget to delete /auth, because we do not need this in our test. Then the endpoint final example will be like https://api-client-ucode.iov2login. Next, move to the body section. Paste the following JSON template into the input field. Data, password, username, role ID, client type assure ID. Then last is login strategy, login PWD. This JSON template is the payload we'll use to authenticate. Later, we'll fill in the values from our platform data. Next, we skip the authentication and cookie sections for now and proceed to fill in the header section. Change the default key XAPI key to client ID. We'll now collect the required IDs to complete the request. So, in order to collect the necessary IDs, follow these steps, which are Environment ID and Project ID. Open the browser's developer tools by right-clicking and selecting Inspector's Network. Navigate to the Settings section from the Ucode menu. Then locate the request, which have Project ID text under the Network tab, and click on it. Under the Payload section, find and copy the Environment ID and Project ID. Paste these values into their respective fields in the API testing form. Next, we need to find Client ID. In order to find, navigate to Settings section, then API section, then API Key section in our Ucode dashboard. Then, find the client ID listed under the Key section, copy it, and paste it into the form. With the IDs collected, let's complete the JSON body. In the password and username fields, enter our credentials. For example, use tests1234 as both the username and password. To find the role ID and client type ID, navigate to the login table and open the developer tools at the same time. Once on the login table, create a user credential entry. For example, set both the username and password to test1234 and assign the client type and role as customer. After clicking the confirm button to save the entry, observe the corresponding customer request in the developer tools under the network tab. Click on the relevant request, navigate to the Payload tab, and expand the Data section. Here you will find both the role ID and client assure your type ID. Copy these values from the request payload and paste them into the appropriate fields in the JSON body. Once the JSON body is complete, click the Send button next to the Post Input field. If successful, the response will display an access token under the Application/JSON section. Copy this token for future API tests. With the access token copied, let's proceed to test items get request. Navigate to the Items section in the API reference and click the Test It button. In the form, The URL will remain unchanged like https://api.client.u-code.io/v2/items/collection into the GET request field. Then, path variables. Enter the desired table key, e.g. customer, in the collection field. Next will come header section. Add a new key value pair. For the key input, enter authorization, and for the value input, enter bearer and then paste the access token copied earlier. Lastly, for the query parameter section, enter example data form into the data field. Once all fields are complete, click the Send button. If successful, the response will indicate that the request has succeeded. Next, we will test a POST request. Follow the same steps as the GET request with slight modifications. Change the method. Switch from GET to POST in the method selector. Next step will be URL and path variables. Repeat the steps to paste the URL, which will be same as https://api.client.u-code.io/v2/items/collection and table key, which is items test. Next, header section, add the authorization key and access token value, which copied earlier. Last step will be body section. Paste the payload JSON, which is data, tester API, for the create action in the body section. Then into test API part, enter desired data to add item into the table. For example, new item. So after finishing the entries, click Send to submit the POST request. If successful, the response will confirm that the request has been fulfilled. Can go back to table and reload the page, and we can see the added item into table. Congratulations! We've successfully tested API references on the Ucode documentation. Here's what we achieved today. Accessed the API reference section on the Ucode platform. Collected the necessary IDs and credentials, tested both GET and POST requests using the API testing tool. Now that you're familiar with API testing in Ucode, you can explore more endpoints and integrate them into your projects. Thank you for watching this tutorial on testing API references in Ucode. For further assistance, reach out to our support team or check out our other tutorials. See you next time.